The absolute latest on the future of Cards coach Jonathan Gannon, what the insiders are saying and what you may need to brace for the next couple weeks, Johnny Venerable.
Plus, we're going to take a look at this weekend slates, not necessarily as it relates to the Cardinals matchup in Cincy, but how the dominoes could fall for the 2026 NFL Draft. PHNX Cardinals starts now. Hey, welcome in. It's live on a post-game Christmas holiday special edition PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier, number one in the world, Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe, friends. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. It's a Christmas miracle. Not only do you have Brack and Johnny Venerable today, the return of one Damon Dog is producing today's fine show as Noah gets a much-needed break from you and I, Brack.
It's a beautiful thing. Johnny got a little camera shy there with no Circle K. He said, I will not be dropping a post-Christmas live. But look, we move on. We move forward anyway. And, of course, this episode of PHNX Cardinals brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app today. Use the code PHNX365 when you download it. And then when you deposit $10, you bet $5, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets. Win or lose, check them out. Bet365. That's the presenting sponsor for this Friday preview edition of PHNX Cardinals.
Everybody hit that like button. Hope everybody had a phenomenal holiday week. Got some much needed R&R like our guy Noah. Bo and I, we've been in the trenches. No, not the line of scrimmage, but with our kids, putting together all sorts of Christmas goodies over the course of the last couple of weeks. Can I just say, I love this job. It's good to be back in the flow. It's good to be back in the routine here on a December 26th Cardinal Football Friday. Even if this team gives us literally nothing, I'm ready for it. I'm ready to dive headfirst after being knee-deep in Christmas wrapping paper the last few days.
I'm right there with you. Just feed me the slop. I don't care if it's good, it's bad. I just want to pontificate on it. I just want to talk about Cardinals football, even though it's during a 3-win season and this team's riding a 7-game losing skid. We're going to get into, the ins and outs of that, what the ramifications could be, the latest from top NFL insiders. It's all going to be kind of talked about. We'll give you the latest update. And look, things aren't the status quo from when we last talked on Monday, Johnny.
Right. So it's tough because I think this goes to how the Cardinals turn, Bo, as it relates to this franchise pertaining to head coach Jonathan Gannon. And that's, if you're locked into the Cardinals right now, with all due respect, and man, the team and their social media, like they're doing the football Lord's work. They're trying. They're trying to mix in some Pro Bowl accolades. They're trying to mix in some positivity, and I can appreciate that. But if you're taking the pulse of the room with Cardinal fandom right now, hit that like button. The number one thing people want to talk about is, when is Jonathan Gannon being fired? Like that's the number one question we get asked. I know Bo gets it inundated in his DMs, mine as well. Who are they hiring in January? And I think the tough part about that is, with Cliff Kingsbury, when we did this several years ago in 2022, it was easy to forecast, what was happening there. Same thing with our guy, Steve Wilkes, where it was like, this can't continue. With Jonathan Gannon, as miserable as this season has gone, we don't have a good pulse of this one way or the other, because I think the team publicly wants you to know that they're sticking by him via the rap sheet report last week, if you can call it that. Privately, though, and we touched on this, I believe, earlier in the week, and we can confirm this on the show, and people are talking about it on social media, there's been a large exodus of season ticket holders. Like that's not abnormal for a team like this, where people are upset and they're vocal, but like the Cardinals know, like they've lost a good amount of faithful followers in the form of not just, hey, I'm a fan. They lost people who have had season tickets for the better part of since State Farm Stadium has opened when it was University of Phoenix Stadium. That's not nothing. And that is the quickest way, Bo, in my opinion, that there could be substantial change with this franchise. Like you would assume it would come with wins and losses, but when people stop putting down their hard-earned dollar to support you, and it's people that it's not, your bandwagon fans, and certainly where those coming from for the Cardinals, frankly, but like people who have stuck by this team through thick and thin this season right now, if you read the tea leaves, is the breaking point for a lot of Cardinal fans. And that's the quickest way I would imagine to get Michael Bidwill to say, you know what, maybe my hand is forced.
Yeah, you got to hit him where it hurts. That's, the old saying, and I think it still holds weight, right? There's different ways around it. Obviously, with the NFL, the big deal is the TV contracts, right? That's the main moneymaker for NFL teams. And as far as, are they going to be able to keep the lights on if they lose, a substantial amount of season ticket holders? Yes. I mean, is it going to impact the bottom line? It absolutely will. We'll see, what the response is. It's really going to be, and it has been, this battle of kind of, or this dilemma, I think, for Cardinals owner Michael Bidwill, where we're on record saying that we believe Michael Bidwill does not want to have to fire head coach Jonathan Gannon. He wants to find a path forward with the coach where you see an overwhelming majority of the fan base that they want to move on. They don't see a path forward. And, Bidwill, I think, has to weigh the pros and the cons of going with a coach that he's got a good relationship with, has a full sense of conviction that he's a good coach, and he likes what he's done behind the scenes. And I think he's probably right there with everybody else in the seats or watching on TV, where he's not anywhere close to being, happy with the results on the field, with how many losses have stacked up. So he's got to figure out, okay, I trust my guys. I got to trust my instincts here, but at the same time, I can't turn a deaf ear to this fan base that is just. I mean, if the decision is to be made to bring back Gannon, I think it would be. There's very little precedent that we've seen, at least here in the Valley. I mean, we've had position coaches, coordinators held throughout an offseason, but doing it with the head coach, where as far as the approval rating is sunken so low, I'd really be curious to see how they could navigate that offseason.
Yeah, I'm going to go rogue here, producer Damon, because this graphic is so good. We reference it a lot. Bo and Noah cooked this up a few weeks ago, and I think it bears repeating here. And you mentioned the precedent that the Cardinals could be faced with. These are the examples of non-winning coaches then getting a fourth year. And winning coaches meaning winning record, no playoffs, that kind of thing. And the most recent example, and you've referenced this a lot, 13 years ago, Gus Bradley for the Jaguars in 2013 somehow went 12-36 and got a fourth year and was almost allowed to complete the entirety of the fourth year. That is the closest that we've seen. Saleh got 4 years, but there were 2 7-10 seasons mixed in. They kill for a 7-10 season right now in Arizona. And then you're talking about like Joe Philbin, Jeff Fisher, but a lot of those were, 8-8. I mean, there were a lot of these guys on here have like 500 seasons mixed in.
Yeah.
I mean, the Cardinals don't even have that. So the closest thing that we have to Jonathan Gannon being retained, if he is Gus Bradley. And you see like the next year, the Jaguars, I don't read up on a lot of 2013 Jag press clippings, but I would imagine they're going to talk a lot at the end of that year about we lost a lot of guys to injury. And again, that's not me taking a shot at the Cardinals. That's the reality. And then look the next year, 2-12, and it's completely unraveled. Like, I would imagine a lot of these teams on that list have injury problems, had injury problems during the regular season, had underperforming draft picks. I think where the frustration lies with a lot of us is the Cardinals are not this anomaly that has happened for the first time in like 30 years in the NFL where, hey, we had players get hurt. It's like that. Look at San Francisco that's playing as early as tonight. And it's like Fred Warner's talking about coming back. I haven't seen Fred Warner in 3 months. Nick Bosa's been gone. They got no players. Brandon Ayuk They had to start Mac Jones. I mean, it's just Kyle Shanahan should be NFL Coach of the Year. I know Mike McDonald is the front runner. Kyle Shanahan's the Coach of the Year. That's what elite coaching looks like. We're not even asking for that. I mean, it'd be great. We're asking for, can you win like 6 to 8 games? They can't even do that. I mean, they're going to be lucky if, assuming they lose out, which we expect them to lose out. I mean, they're going to be lucky to win 3 games. Those first 2 games, New Orleans and Carolina, you were at both. I was at one of them. Came down to the last play against 2 teams right now. I mean, Carolina's having a nice season. Saints are still, well below average.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that shows you everything. The only game they won outright was the Dallas game on Monday Night Football.
Right. No, I think that even in wins, they understood, or at least the show did. My co-host was very hyper aware of it, that the ice that they were walking was very thin. You barely held on for dear life to win week 1. It took a Budda Baker, Jalen Thompson jarring the ball loose in the end zone from that thing, even an extra score to win it, if not, trying to fade a 2-point conversion potentially by the Saints in that situation if they scored on that play. And then Carolina, it was just it was like a horror movie, like Michael Myers, like they just wouldn't go away and they just kept coming back. And you knew, like, hey, if they continue to play like this, they're going to lose inevitably, and it's going to turn into, like, you've got some bad habits here despite being 2-0. You're a very flawed football team, and this is not sustainable. And look what happened. There's been one win since. When you start to look, like, to get back a little bit, to rewind, you look at the Bradley situation and just bad teams, just really bad Jacksonville teams, right? And like, I think people are concerned that that's going to be kind of their future for Cardinals fans. By the way, Jet Fish Damon was the OC for those teams way back when. And I know you love to see that. The quarterbacks for those teams was not like a Kyler Murray caliber guy, not even a Jacoby Brissett caliber guy. It was Chad Henne and Blaine Gabbert for the most part.
Yeah,
they had their best receiver was fantasy darling and Cecil Shorts. Remember him? But yeah, just devoid of talent. That shouldn't be the case here. Is you're 3 years into a rebuild, and then also, which is also kind of crazy, is like post Gus Bradley, Johnny. They cut the cord with Gus Bradley at 2-12. Doug Marrone comes in and goes 1-1. So they finish 3-13, and then the next season, their big offseason, they're in the AFC Championship game.
And I think, Blake Bortles, right? Yeah, I think. Yeah. The difficult part for Cardinal fans, and this is where, if you're Michael Bidwill, there's, in my opinion, there are very few alternatives. You cannot look people in the eye and say, like, we know what we're doing based on what? Like, they haven't drafted a Pro Bowler yet. And then that came out, and people got up in arms when I tweeted that out. Like, Paris Johnson didn't make the Pro Bowl. He's a Pro Bowl caliber tackle. He's not available right now.
Right.
But Monti Ossenfort's had 3 off seasons, hasn't drafted or signed a Pro Bowler. Okay, that's a fact. And again, if they're like, well, Pro Bowl's popularity contest, yeah, for the teams that win. Is it a coincidence that the teams that are winning get Pro Bowlers? No, like nobody. You won 3 games. Like I don't want to hear you cry about Pro Bowlers. Like you haven't drafted one. It's a 2-prong effort. You draft the players, you develop them, you coach them. Like you're not doing that. So yeah, we're going to call that out as a real stat. And then wholeheartedly, when people look at potentially retaining this staff and this head coach, like you mentioned, there's no precedent to be able to say, like, yeah, wait until year 4. That's the pop year. For what? For a guy who's probably going to have to draft a rookie quarterback in the most, vaunted division in the NFL. Not maybe, but is the most vaunted division. I mean, that's where you're going to get apathy. That's where you're going to get disengaged fans. And that is like losing your lifeblood as a franchise, is that they want to be able next September to sell out State Farm Stadium in whatever opener they have and say, this is the future. And if it's got the stank of the last 3 years, people are going to find better uses for their time. I still think they'll consume the Cardinals, but not in the way that you've been accustomed to. And that pales in comparison to, or excuse me, that trumps any kind of coaching salary that you may or may not have to pay out,
right,
in my opinion.
Well, I don't even know if the salary thing is that big of a sticking point, to be honest with you. I think that there is a belief that you're right. You're not going to be able to communicate to a fan base to get buy-in. That the coaching staff, at least the head coach, is the one that's gonna, regardless of significant changes, can be the voice to push people forward. Despite if Bidwill and Monti Ossenfort make the decision together that like they want to stay with the status quo at head coach, like that's going to be a damn near impossible sell. Now
it will be.
You can look at it and what that would look like, because I think that there needs to be those conversations, because I don't think it's a slam dunk, because I believe in what's being reported, from you to Tom Pelissaro to Ian Rappaport, to even Albert Breer, who we're going to get to his comments here. Like there is a want to keep Gannon, and Bidwill wants to have any reason to do so. But, have the losses just stacked up to just such a high level that he's not going to have the ability to do that. It really is kind of like Cardinals. Can they avoid the fan base completely kind of turning against them here, despite, this pretty checkered past since moving to the desert, to say the least? But we've got the latest from Albert Breer and what he's hearing about Jonathan Gannon's future. Let's get into that next here on PHNX Cardinals, Johnny.
Let's do it. First things first, hope everybody had a happy, healthy, and safe holiday seasons. And of course, the holidays are meant for giving, but that doesn't mean you can't get a little something back too. Between road trips to see family, hosting holiday dinners, and countless grocery and gas runs, this season can put a strain on your wallet. I know for sure December's been an expensive month in the Venerable household. That's where I turn to the Upside app. Upside helps you earn extra cash back on things that you're already doing, like filling up the gas pump, grabbing dinner on the go, or making one more trip to the grocery store. I was at the grocery store seemingly all day, every day on December 23rd prepping, and I had Upside at my readiness. With Upside, you can keep, you're keeping more in your pocket during this season when you spend the most. This is a record year for costs. The economy's in a tough spot, so Upside is here to save the day. And yes, it's got cash back over $1 billion, not million, but $1 billion with a B dollars given back to users so far. And again, if you're wondering how eligible is this, does it pertain to where I'm at? Well, they've got over 100,000 gas stations, grocery stores, and restaurants on the Upside app, ensuring that the cash back is always right around the corner. Again, if you're spending money at gas stations, grocery stores, and restaurants, which we all do every single day, you're missing out if you're not with the Upside app. Again, the $1 billion is being given out. To find out how much you can earn, download the free Upside app today. Use the promo code PHNX to get an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas. That's an extra 25 cents on every tank of gas for that first fill up using the promo code PHNX. Use Upside today.
Christmas might be in the rear view mirror, but the holiday scratchers are still very available for you to cash in. You got to be 21 or older to play. But look, just like holiday dinner, there's leftovers for holiday scratchers. And man, they're a little bit better than maybe some heated up ham or turkey. And we're talking about over $80 million in prizes. Holiday scratchers from the Arizona Lottery. We love them, man. Can't get enough of them, even post-Christmas. If you're looking to add a little extra excitement this time of the year, or maybe ring in the new year, how about 2026 with a little extra cash in your pocket? Do it with the 6 festive scratchers that are available for you. Cash countdown, prizes up to $250,000. Plus, candy cane cash actually smells like peppermint. Yeah, it really does. It's unbelievable. You can dash to instant prizes like the Fast Play. And honestly, when it comes to gifting, they're perfect. Maybe you got a couple lingering, Christmases with family and friends you couldn't get together during the true holiday season. Well, go exchange some great gifts from the Arizona Lottery. We're talking about the holiday scratchers right now. So love the play and spread the holiday cheer post-Christmas. It's always nice to let it kind of carry on, because then we can avoid those holiday hangovers for the next couple days. Holiday scratchers from the Arizona Lottery. Like I said, you got to be 21 years or older to play.
Hit that like button. We got over 231 watching live who are choosing to spend their post-holiday with us. We appreciate everybody here. Show some love for my guys, Bo and Damon. And we've been at this for a while now where it's felt like the season has been over. And I think that kind of apathy is what the Cardinals have to avoid in future years. Like, you can't have these kind of seasons where we get to Thanksgiving, we get to early November, and people are like, yeah, I'm done. I'll see you guys next year. And when you think about the fact that Jonathan Gannon now has had 2 out of his 3 seasons like this, I mean, it paints a bleak picture. Let's turn our attention to Albert Breer, who's been on top of this, Bo, where Ian Rappaport is very much in lockstep, no pun intended, with the team as it relates to, like, we're going to get the messaging out there. The injuries are a problem. It's not the head coach. He's going to be back next year. Here's Albert Breer's comments from earlier this week. I still like Jonathan Gannon as a coach, but 7 consecutive losses and 12 losses in 13 weeks are pretty tough to survive. While Arizona owner Michael Bidwill hasn't shown his cards yet, it's fair to say Arizona's performance will likely merit some level of change, with, I'd say, Gannon's in a little more trouble than Monti Ossenfort right now. And then he held a mailbag today, kind of echoing these comments. And I think the biggest thing from this is Albert Breer is coming from this from a very sane place, whereas Breer's been around this franchise. He's at training camp every year. We see him. We talk to him. He knows Monti Ossenfort well. He knows the Cardinals pipeline to Ohio State well. He looks at what's happened this year. I didn't hear injuries once being talked about in any of Breer's articles.
Right.
All it's saying is, like, they just lose a lot. And when you lose a lot, you likely have to part ways with some people you'd rather not part with. And I just love the transparency of, like, yeah, Michael Bidwill, like, doesn't know yet. Whereas you're getting Ian Rappaport PR release from the team saying, well, yeah, as of right now, nothing's changed with our commitment to anybody. It's a breath of fresh air, because I'm going to tell you what, right now, if they win this weekend against Cincinnati, Jonathan Gannon is safe. And the Cardinals are playing it like they're going to win this weekend. But we all know that they don't have a shot in hell to win this weekend.
Right. Yeah. We'll go through who's available, who's not later. I mean, I think that, in these times, the game itself is secondary to what's going on the playing field, because, like you said, I mean, this thing's been over since November. And look, I know Bidwill, he doesn't like to fire anybody, right? For that matter, this is an ownership that has really kind of waited until the end of the season to pull the trigger on that. And obviously you're seeing this from, as we've said, multiple reports where he's very supportive of Gannon and his coaching staff. But when the math stacks against you like it has, and it's an overwhelming fight right now. I mean, the math is beating down, the will to bring back Gannon. It turns against you, because Breer, who isn't tone deaf and sees the outrage and sees, what a 3-14 season that has high expectations and falling tremendously short of that, what that breeds as far as the fan base and its frustrations and it's overwhelming, isn't just going to come out and say, well, he's coming back, just accept that, that's just how it is, because and here's the reasoning or the excuses for that, because Breer's a smart guy, right? And he understands that, and those are his readers that I'm sure appreciate that, where sometimes you've got entities in this that don't have to cater to those, unfortunately, to the fans. But the reality is, this league, especially this division, it doesn't care about your plan, your 3, 4, 5-year plan, what's going on behind the scenes. They care about results, and the results are not there. So anybody with a brain and eyes and that can deduct logic, they're going to say, hey, it's not all, well and good. There's nothing set in stone here, and nothing should be set in stone. Don't, make any kind of, big time deals right now beyond January 5th.
Well, you remember Jeremy Fowler, who reported this weeks ago before the Falcons game, I think maybe before the Texans game, and he echoed a lot of, like, the initial fluff that Rap Sheet said. And he was like, yeah, they love Jonathan Gannon and they want to keep him. However, keeping Gannon, while it's a sensible play for Bidwill, Arizona is staring at a potential 1-14 finish. If they lose out, they're 1 for their last 15 games.
Yeah.
That is unbelievably bad. Like, teams like the Browns and they luck into wins. But he said Arizona is staring at a potential 1-14 finish. The team is miserably bad right now and finishes the season Texans, Falcons, Bengals, Rams. Gannon might need 1, maybe 2 games to reach solid footing. Remember we reported this? That was like 3 weeks ago.
Right.
And it was like, and you and I were lockstep. It's like, I think they're going to win a couple games. Mm-hmm. So we really didn't entertain any of it. Right. And then we saw them no-show, not only in the division, but the Houston game, where they were running back opening kickoffs and scoring in 2 plays with Nico Collins. And it was
Houston that squeaked by the Raiders last weekend.
Yes, that seemingly anyone else can play a close game with.
Right. And
then you watch the Cardinals finish last week 1-7 homestand loss against the Falcons. I'm sorry, like you cannot shove injuries in people's faces for a 1-14 finish, because you've got injuries. Everybody else does. You're losing players. It's the end of the season. The injuries, and we beat this horse, it's dead and buried. They were losing games earlier this year that they were supposed to win when they had majority of their team. They blew games that they were favored in. They were favored to beat Mac Jones. They were favored to beat the Titans.
When they were 2-2 and they lost to the Titans. They lost in the most inexplicable, frustrating way I think I've ever seen. Like that's a stain that cannot be removed.
And it wasn't because of injuries.
Yeah. Regardless of injuries, that was just a debacle of a game. Like there was nothing redeemable. That was the most down I've ever been post. I couldn't believe it, because we know how bad the Titans are.
Right.
And you think about the Cardinals, since their 2-0 start, they have the worst record in the entire NFL.
They've been the worst team.
They've been the worst team, but they're not the least talented team, regardless of, how many injuries pile up week in and week out. And that's why it's just like, hey man, like they would at least, you would just be able to come to the conclusion, like they could at least luck into a win. They couldn't even do that, because they got in their own way too many times. It's like you had the 5 games that were unbelievably, gut-wrenching and just rip your heart out fashion style of losing, right? And then it had festered so much to where when the injuries did kind of rear their ugly eye, and the frustration of that 5-game skid and just the wear and tear of the season, it just proved to be too much. And then the levees broke, and then that's when they became uncompetitive. But to say like, hey, this season is a product of injuries, it's been from the jump, that is very unfair. That's downright wrong, and it's disingenuous to the fan base.
Do you think like you can't field the team this weekend? They got plenty of players this weekend. Cincinnati won games with Joe Flacco earlier this year. Like the Cardinals, by saying this, and this is a point that we repeated earlier this week, by saying injuries, you're basically telling everybody, well, then don't watch, don't consume the product. And then you know what the public is saying? We won't. If you're going to blame this on injuries, we're not going to consume it, but not in the way you think. We're going to tell you right now, this isn't good enough. Because I'm sorry, only certain franchises, when they lose, complain about losing players. The 49ers have a standard. They don't do that, right? They don't want to hear about that. If the 49ers win out, they're the 1 seed. And the Cardinals, and I can say this unequivocally, and people are going to laugh at me, have been infinitely more talented than San Francisco this year. Like, at the very least, they have been comparable. And one team has 3 wins, and one team is contending for the first overall seed. I mean, like, who does San Francisco have? Ricky Parcel's been hurt all year. They haven't had Brandon Ayuk. Kittle was on IR. They got 100-year-old Christian McCaffrey, an average offensive line, a defense with nobody, but they got elite coaching, and the coaching elevated that entire team. Yes, their schedule wasn't great, but I mean, Cardinals lost to teams they should have beaten, as we've outlined. Right. So it is. Everybody in the chat knows what this is. They had a malpractice of coaching. And I'm going to tell you right now, the biggest result of here's what the Cardinals are going to do. They're going to talk out of both sides of their mouth, because they're going to say it's injuries. And then if Gannon gets to stay, we know what's going to happen. He's going to fire the entirety of his offensive staff, and he's going to have to replace multiple defensive coaches, and he's going to fire his special teams coordinator. Well, based on that logic, if it's because of injuries, you should just get to keep everybody then. Everybody, all the coaches come back, but they're not going to do that because they know that's not the reason. But you understand what the point I'm trying to make.
I do.
Hey, it's injuries, but you know what, Gannon, you got to fire everybody. Well, okay, what are we doing here? If it's injuries, then let it be injuries. Then retain everybody, but they won't do that because they know that's not true.
Yeah, look, if they do keep Gannon, right, and I think that there's a good percentage chance that they do, but you're right, like that's not going to come without. There has to be some sort of accountability in the court of public opinion. Like heads have to roll, and even with that, like the picture that we're painting here, the fan base is not going to be happy with it. They're not going to find some sort of middle ground here with it.
That new press release for the special teams coach is not going to slap on, January 28th when they hire you and me to run their special teams. That's not going to get people running back.
It's not, offensive coordinator, it's new special teams coach, defensive veteran coach added to the staff somewhere. Like all those are, would be nice additions, obviously with the caveat being, hey, like you got to keep you're keeping your head coach that's going to be at that time, 15 and 36 or 15 and 37, whatever it might be. And you're doing it in the based on the idea of, the injuries were too much and that we like the direction and that we want the continuity, but what kind of continuity do you really have? I mean, I you know what? You and I are both on record. We like Gannon.
Love him.
I don't want to discount too much, what he was able to do in year one and year two, as far as behind the scenes and in the culture and stuff. I do think that means something, but also listen when I say that the record it's not acceptable. It's going to be tough, like to paint that picture for anybody to say, hey, I want to invest in going and experiencing the game day side of this thing and season tickets. It'd be too tough. I think it's just too tough of a challenge, but I see a very real reality where we're talking about it, where we're just saying, okay, Gannon's the last man standing. Maybe he gets to retain Rollis. You're looking at an offensive coordinator and a lot of new pieces on that side of the staff. Maybe you keep one or two guys, new special teams, and maybe some, you're going to have some new defensive coaches. Did you see that tweet? I couldn't attend practice today.
Okay.
But Coach Debo spoke today.
Really?
And, Josh Weinfuss put the tweet out there. And, there was a back and forth where reporters were just trying to confirm the reports from 2 weeks ago that Coach Debo was headed to Michigan State. Have you seen this yet?
Read it out. I saw a blurb about it.
This is from
So
Josh
the Cardinals,
Weinfuss.
wait a minute. The Cardinals made Coach Debo available?
I believe so. There is an assistant coach every Friday. And, we've jokingly thrown around, hey, let's get Coach Debo. And maybe they obliged. I don't know, but this is from Weinfuss today, ESPN.com, they asked Coach Debo about taking the same position with Michigan State, deflected from answering questions. What went into your decision to go to Michigan State? Debo, quote, man, listen, at the end of the day, this week is all I'm focused on. I'm focused on going to get a win in Cincinnati. So nothing else or anything else for whatever else is coming. My son being sick was the focus when I was at home, but I'm walking into the building right now with my focus is going to get a win in Cincinnati. And then somebody followed up, can you confirm that you took the job? Debo, quote, just going to get the win in Cincinnati, baby. That's all I'm focused on.
Get the clown makeup on. Get the balloons. This is a clown show. What are we doing, guys? That's embarrassing. The fact that they would make him available, clearly they didn't want anybody to know. Welcome to college football. Everybody knows everything. Like, right. Just have some transparency. You want to know why people don't trust you? That kind of shenanigans. That's embarrassing. The Cardinals have done a lot of embarrassing things this year. Add that to the pile.
You went Al Davis on him. Hey, man, did you take the job at Michigan State? Just want to win, baby. Just win, baby.
It's just like Cardinal fans are like, what? Our defensive line coach is leaving for a college team, for a college program, Michigan State, that hasn't been relevant in 10 years? That'll bode well. We're going to keep piling on this dumpster fire coming up. It's PHNX. But first, I'm going to tell you about our friends at Factor Meals. I need to tap in Factor now more than ever because I went heavy in the paint, as you would call it, during this 3-day smorgasbord. I went heavy with the carbs. I went heavy with the sweets. I have a sweet tooth, as people know. And thankfully, I can get the bad signal out with my friends at Factor Meals, because Factor Meals, they're keeping me on the straight and narrow. I'm trying to slim down before the rigorous offseason we're about to have, and I can't do it looking schlubby and being not at my best. And Factor Meals, they're keeping me at my best. They've got a huge variety of meals to choose from. The widest, by the way, including premium seafood choices, my favorite, like salmon. I'm a salmon boy. And they've got shrimp at no extra cost. And the number one thing I love about Factor Meals, Bo, is like I've tried the other, quote unquote name brand, like food delivery services. And they're just like, yeah, I bet they're good. I don't want to spend 45 minutes prepping dinner for my family. And I want to be able to pop it in the microwave, to pop it in the oven, and it's ready to go. And that's what Factor does. Eat smart at factormeals.com. We're going to hook you up right now. PHNX 50 off. Again, factormeals.com/PHNX 50 off. Use that bonus code PHNX 50 off. You're going to get 50% off your first box. Plus, they're going to hook you up even further with breakfast for an entire year. Again, PHNX 50 off, factormeals.com. I tell everybody all the time, it's like, I do Factor Meals year round because I know the benefit. I see it, how it attributes to my health, and how much I love the food and the convenience of it. Sign up right now. Offer only valid for one new Factor Meal, new customers, qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Check out Factor Meals right now.
Let me ask everybody a question. What did you want to be when you were a kid? What did you want to be growing up? Everybody had big ideas back then, and hopefully you still do. If you ever thought about starting your own business or selling something online, Shopify makes that possible. Yeah, check out Shopify. It's the e-commerce platform behind millions of businesses worldwide, including, of course, PHNX, the merch stores there, the ALLCITY merch store. About 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. is done through Shopify. It's unreal. This is something we actually use here at PHNX and ALLCITY. Shirts, hats, whatever your idea is, Shopify handles the hard stuff, man, and they're all about it. They got the tools for building your website, writing product designs, marketing through email and social media, and even AI tools that are so trendy to help you sell more. If you're ready to sell, you're ready to Shopify. Check them out right now. Turn your big business idea from your childhood idea to a reality now. Cha-ching, with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/allcity. That's shopify.com/allcity. Cha-ching.
Cha-ching, cha-ching. Hit that like button. So I'll break some news here on December 26th. And again, may fall on deaf ears as Arizona Cardinal fans want to hear one thing and one thing only, and that's a clean sweep of this coaching staff. I reported about a month ago when we were very much in the realm of who's going to be the new OC before we talked about who's going to be the new head coach. And I made a comment that the Cardinals were out on Brian Daboll. I got some intel recently that is not the case, that Brian Daboll supposedly would be an interesting party on both sides if Jonathan Gannon were to be retained. And again, a lot of dominoes have to fall. And I guess, a lot of people probably still wouldn't, look at that as a sufficient solution given everything. But I'd cross him off, add him back to the list. And I think, if we get to January with JG, the common denominator that I want everybody to think about when they look at the next OC of this team, somebody who's got play calling experience, and a lot of people who have been prominent NFL head coaches. So I don't think you're going to see names, I could be wrong, that are tied to like QB coach, first-time play caller, wide receiver coach, first-time play caller. Here's what I'll tell you about Gannon. If he is able to keep his job, he understands the severity of running it back with a staff that can try to help him salvage this thing, which again, I think this is a move that's a year too late. Not that Daboll was available last year, but just the quality, all the coaching firings we're talking about could have probably been done last year, and he'd be in a much better spot. We've joked, they're a prominent OC away from like at least 6 or 7 wins this year with the amount of games Drew Petzing cost Jonathan Gannon early this year. So I expect if Gannon is retained, I expect Dable to be firmly in the mix, is what I was told this past week.
That's not a cure-all.
No, it is not.
Right?
It is not.
Like we said, that doesn't exist, but that's a baby step. That's a baby step forward. That's going to get people who said, I'm done with this team. Like, I want them out of my life.
Yeah.
To maybe they might text back. You're not going to get left on red by Cardinals fans. They might say, what else you got over there, right? Because Dable, just like you said, if there's other veteran offensive coordinator staff options to pair with JG and crew, I think that's positive, right? It's like I said, it's not going to get anybody completely fired up, fully back on board, but there's proof of performance from Brian Dable. I know he was just crap canned by the Giants.
Yeah.
I think the little work he did with Jackson Dart, people were commending him on that before he was shown the door. And then of course there's always going to be the crutch about Brian Dable is like, hey, he's the guy behind Josh Allen, right?
Yeah.
They're always going to give him the credit, maybe some too much about it, but also, he did play a huge role in the success there. And there's ties with Monti from Dable back, both being in the Patriots organization.
This is a good question by Cards Kingdom that I think a lot of people are asking. Why would Dable take an OC job for a way worse coach that inevitably is going to get fired? Bo and I had a conversation about this recently, and I think the names that we've heard and that are going to be in strong consideration, I think would be guys who would be the front runner to be an interim head coach. And I think that is, for a lot of these guys, their best route to maybe be back in the NFL head coaching hierarchy. Like Dable, if Jonathan Gannon were to be fired like midseason next year, Brian Dable would be the interim head coach. The 2 or 3 other names that we've heard fall right in line with that category. A lot of the names that we've heard right now, like this is going to sound crazy, but they're not like employed currently, or they're in between gigs currently. And so I think you look at that and it's like, okay, it's my chance to get back in. I think they're very much they're in a unique spot where there's not a young hotshot OC or QB coach that's going to come take this job. I think that's where you can say, like, hey, somebody with like options that's working right now in the NFL that's elevating something is not going to run over here to be the OC of the Cardinals. The Cardinals are going to have to get creative, but I think they can get creative with people who have experience developing quarterbacks, with people who have certainly experience calling plays, but that's just a small part of this, as you mentioned, Bo. Like, Brian Dable doesn't fix why they can't play defense all of a sudden. Right. It doesn't fix their atrocious special teams or in-game decisions. So it's sad because, like, I want to be excited about the possibility of Brian Dable. I just think Gannon flubbed up. This should have been a priority last January, and they sat on their hands and they said, we're fine. We know better than anybody else. We have a staff full of all-stars. They're all going to be like, even if Gannon is retained, his staff is going to be cobwebs in Tempe. It is going to be gutted because there's no other alternative. And that the best coaches in the NFL are aggressive and proactive, and they were the opposite in January 2025.
And even if Gannon knew somebody that, obviously he's tied and hitched his wagon to Drew Petzing,
right?
And this is my point is going to be made mostly on that. Like, if there was another hot shot, up and coming play caller, he's like, if this guy just needed the opportunity, and I'm going to give it to him, but he doesn't have any experience, like, nobody's going to accept that. You're not going to get it. You're not going to get any buy-in. And to your point, as far as, why are you looking at the retreads? Why are they heavily playing in that market? It's because those guys, like, they just want to get a job to get back into it, to get another crack at it. And, to say, I don't think that they primarily would take the job, like, because it's got a fast track to another head coaching gig. But if he came in and had any type of success, it puts him back in in kind of in a rotation to where you can get yourself, whether it's Peterson, Reich, or like Gruden, or who you want to throw any of these names around, like, or Dable. Like, these are all guys that, they need a little like positive headlines for them in order to get in the good graces of the rest of the league.
I also know definitively that Jonathan Gannon, and this is anybody who has a season like this, like Gannon, regardless if he gets fired or not, is going to have an end of the season sit down with Michael Bidwill, and he's going to have to be able to present the plan of the offseason, right? Whether or not he's going to be retained. And you have to be able to come to that meeting and say, like, these are the guys we're going to target. Right. I know I can get these guys. I have these relationships. This will help salvage this. Because here's what I know definitively. Even if Gannon is somehow retained, he's not going to be retained with the notion that he's just going to keep showing up to work and doing the same thing. Like, I still think, as much as Michael Bidwill shows an immense affinity for Gannon, like, he's going to have to sell himself.
Mm-hmm.
In the last week of the race. They're going to get bludgeoned these next 2 weeks, and Gannon's going to have to turn around and look at Michael Bidwill and say, like, this is how we're going to fix this. These are the coaches I've been in touch with. These are the coaches we're going to get. And that might be enough.
Well, he's already sold on the other stuff. Like,
right.
Like, you remember a couple of weeks ago, they were talking about, what's the pitch? Theo Mackey asked him, what's the pitch? And, he kind of just said, I believe in myself. I believe in these people.
Right.
Like, but there's got to be more to it. Like, Bidwill obviously believes in the person. He believes in JG, whether, fans want to hear that or not. He believes in Gannon, and, Gannon is going to have to come to him with solutions. He's going to have to say that this is who, this is where I've got cooking over here. This is who we're talking to for offense. This is a special teams option we have. What's the defensive staff? If you're going to force my hand somewhere, this is where I would pivot that direction, and just have it all, mapped out, because that's going to give him the best chance. Like, they're playing the final game of the season on the road in Los Angeles. That's a quick flight. So, that the game, like we said, like this game it's secondary. You better be ready to make your case. And also the Cardinals organization has to be, the decision makers. They got to be able to make their decision that night too. Like, you can't drag your feet. Like, this can't be one of the, like, we see it sometimes, right, where some teams, like, the Black Monday moves are announced, and then there's some team that kind of like is lingering.
The Cowboys last year, they did that with McCarthy. They waited for like 2 weeks.
Can't do it. You got to be right there to get one of these top candidates. You can't just be like, well, we're going to do it at our pace.
Can I ask you?
You've done it at your pace the last 3 coaching searches. It's
too slow.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think, so we're going to fast forward. We expect them to lose this weekend. We're going to get to that. Do you think that you have to know, if you're Michael Bidwill, you're going to get your ass beat next weekend? Like, everybody knows that. The Rams are playing for wild card seeding, right? Like, Rams have everything to play for. Tune it up. Devontae Adams is going to be back. The Cardinals are going to get worked in LA.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a possibility going into that game that the Cardinals, via rap sheet or somebody, make an announcement that Jonathan Gannon will be back definitively for the 2026 regular season before that game even takes place, to get ahead of it? Because what I think, and we've seen coaches get a thumbs up from ownership before the finale. Mm-hmm. What I think is, if that does not happen, and then you let it fester, and then you go into that Sunday night, Monday morning with no news, I think that increases the likelihood that he's gone. What would you say to that? Do you think we could get an announcement like that Friday, Saturday of next week?
Yeah, I mean, it's more so going to be an announcement of that caliber than, he's coaching for his job.
Well,
right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, Do you think that Bidwill could make a statement saying Gannon's our guy before that final game?
I mean, so if that's the choice, that's probably the best move.
Right. I agree with that.
I mean, I know that's not the direction people want to think about, but yeah, it's probably the best move to kind of, if you're going to double down on him, make it be heard, go stand at the top of Camelback Mountain and say it with a bullhorn. Say, we're retaining Jonathan Gannon. He's our coach. We believe in him, and come coach with him. Come coach offense for him.
I think if they intend to bring him back and these games do not matter, they should do that. And
well, I mean,
people will crush them. People will kill them.
Like transparency, Johnny, like we have a pretty damn good idea what's going to happen over the next 2 games. Like it shouldn't matter. Your decision probably should be made. If you're going to use injuries, like the roster's already like it's torn, it's deteriorated. Like,
do you think the rap sheet article before
you should have your answer?
You think the rap sheet article before the Falcons game was that?
Possibly. That's why I was hesitant, because we had just come off of what Breer was speculating. 70%. Like this was the first Breer report where he said 70% chance there's a change at head coach.
Right.
And then we get and Pelissaro earlier that week was saying, hey, they're going to have to examine things. And then Pelissaro, after I know that the Cardinals heard that report, and
you think they heard it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And Pelissaro and Rap Sheet, I think, had to clarify, and you saw that report on, what is it, the Saturday before a game last weekend. So look, I think that very could be it. And it should be. Like these last few games, like they haven't mattered. They're like you shouldn't determine the fate of a coach based on a meaningless game against the Bengals in your roster going up against what one of the best the NFC has to offer.
1-14 though in your the
objects you've already lost 5. You've lost 5 in a row. You've lost 7 in a row. You've lost almost any way imaginable.
1-14 is unthinkably bad. All right, we got to take another break. We're gonna come back. We'll talk draft scenarios and more. It's PHNX. Hit that like button for our friends at APS. The weather here in Phoenix is choice. It's elite. If you haven't seen it, I got family from out of town. They're like, man, this is what we signed up for. I agree. However, be smart with a smart thermostat via our friends at APS, because I'm going to tell you right now, when I first got to Phoenix, when I first got to Arizona over half a decade ago, and I got that first summer and heating bill and what it did to my bank account, and it may or may not have a 6 in front of it. I'll never forget it. I'm like, I need to smarten up with a smart thermostat for as low as $0. You can set them from home. You can set them away. They'll tell you the best times to drop or raise the temperature. It's like the analytics for saving you money with your thermostat, right? It's like the PFF of what you need to be able to go into summer, winter, fall, and save energy and money. And APS customers can get a smart new thermostat for as low as $0, free 99 at aps.com/sale. Shipping and taxes not included. Other restrictions apply. I promise you right now, if you live in the Phoenix area, you've not gotten signed up with APS, you don't have a smart thermostat, you are doing yourself a disservice. Get it right now. Save money, and your wallet will be happy that you did.
No doubt about it. Hey, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with Bet365. Did you bet on the games yesterday? Did you spice up Christmas? I hope you did. I did. There's a reason why Bet365 has 90 million users worldwide. Yeah, check out streams, over 780,000 events every year. This app has pioneered live in-game betting, and man, it is unbelievable how much you can stack up by betting while games are live and in action. Do it with Bet365. You get the early payouts like college, NFL. You get the 17-point lead, and you're a big fat winner. I had it happen a couple times this season. If your team goes up 5 runs in Major League Baseball coming up this spring, early payout. Boom. Right now, breaking news from Bet365. New customers get $150 in bonus bets when they bet just $5, win or lose, when you deposit $10 using the code PHNX365. Download the app. Use the code PHNX365 and see for yourself. Whatever the moment, it's never the ordinary. With Bet365, must be 21 years or older, physically located in Arizona. And if someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP. Bet365. It's never ordinary.
Hit that like button. The more I think about the press release that would need to come from the team, I think it has to come directly from the Cardinals and like their beat account. I think the rap sheet, buried in a rap sheet article.
Never.
You don't think they would tweet out like Jonathan Gannon will return next year via their
It's not the MCU. It's not Jonathan Gannon will return in season 2026. It's just not.
You don't think
happening.
they would?
I've never seen that before. They usually just, if
other teams do that though.
I just haven't seen them. It's been that would be unprecedented.
Well, this whole thing is unprecedented. I just mean I think you have to. I don't think you can just lose out and then just not just do Gannon's presser Monday and then not talk to anybody for 3 weeks.
Bears did that. The Bears did that
with Eberflus. Yeah. How'd that work out? It was really, really poor, really poorly received. Eberflus though won 7 games that year.
And that was year 2 going into 3.
Right. This is different. 3 wins in year 3. What? That's not the same thing. I get what you're saying, but man, we were talking off air, not to go completely off the rails. The Gannon Eberflus defense is just atrocious. And then you compare it to Brian Flores yesterday, and it's just give me that. Give me all that.
Jared Goff he's going to hate Christmas going forward after what Brian Flores did to his poor soul last night.
Man,
he lost to a guy who had negative passing yards for the bulk of the game.
That's what elite coaching looks like, by the way. When it's not all what do you do when the chips are down? It's not all lined up. You talk about injuries. The Vikings are starting Bo and I at quarterback, and it's they beat the hell out of. That's what the Cardinals don't understand, and maybe we'll never understand.
Right.
Okay, we're missing players. Let's just turn to what in Flores' case, their elite coordinator does. The Cardinals, we should be able to turn to our head coach when the chips are down. Kyler Murray's out. We're going to go into Indianapolis against Danny Dimes. Let's shut him down. Can't do it. Let's shut down Jordan Love. Can't do it. Just let's pee down our leg in the fourth quarter when we have umpteenth fourth quarter leads. That's the difference in the franchises right now, where certain franchises can turn to a Saleh or a Flores and say, save us. We're missing pieces.
Right.
The Cardinals are feel sorry for us. We have all these, we feel so poorly that, we can't compete this weekend, but still consume us, still watch.
When you can dominate one side of the football, which they haven't had the ability to do it under any circumstance.
Yeah.
You can outright win a game. People talk and plead and want complimentary football. Sometimes when you just can't get it, like Minnesota, they can't get consistent quarterback play. Defense, Brian Flores and the defense just stepped up, and you saw him he just fed off of that. His players fed off of that, and they said, we want more. And they would just go after Jared Goff and just get, up the pressure, up the, unique pre-snap looks, disguise everything. And Jared Goff had no idea, even going into when that game was in hand. He didn't stop. He kept his foot on the gas pedal until that game was in the bag.
We got more super chats, and we got game preview, and we got draft implications. We're going all night, baby. One more break, and we're back. It's PHNX. I'll tell you where I'm back, and I've never left. It's our friends at Circle K, the Inner Circle. Right now, I was like, who's a great point guard once upon a time? Chris Paul. Yeah. I was like, Steve Nash, Chris Paul dishing out Inner Circle rewards this holiday season. Stocking stuffers for Circle K, baby. Circle K gift cards. Hello. That's the elite way to go. Because I'm going to tell you right now, times are tough. The economy's in a tough spot. And, your brick and mortar grocery stores are charging umpteenth dollars for the stuff that you need. I'm telling you right now, look beyond Circle K for just gas. Go and check out the inside and the deals that you're going to get on sodas, on the meal deal matrix, $3, $4, $5. They've got Arizona tea, 2 for $2.75. They got dollar cookies, dollar hot dogs, whatever you need. Inner Circle is going to hook you up right now. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details. I went in, 3 days ago before Christmas. I was moving around. I was on the run. I was going everywhere. And I said, I got to stop in and get the $5 meal deal. Not one, but 2 slices of Zop and a 20-ounce Coca-Cola for $5. Unbelievable. When everything costs about $17 right now in this economy, Circle K hooking you up.
Love Circle K. Everyone needs a checking account. And not only so you can just go, pay for your gas at the pump, get delicious Circle K food and beverages. everybody needs a checking account that gives them perks, right? That's adding on top of it. Need a checking account. Why not one that has built-in benefits like Mountain America Credit Union? Their My Style checking, it's unbeaten. Its account is such a great option. It comes with built-in perks that fit real life. Things like restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts, plus offers on travel and events. Check them out. It's not just a checking account. It's benefits you can actually use. Mountain America Credit Union has been around since the 1930s, serves over $1.2 million or 1.2 million members, and has 100 plus branches across the West. They're there to give you, of course, the financial journey that you deserve. My Style, your lifestyle. macu.com/mystyle/sons or /ASU, or, the My Style is probably the way to go. Learn more. Apply at any Arizona branch. It's insured by NCUA. Membership required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost registration or activation. Terms, conditions, exclusions apply. Loans are approved on credit.
Let's take a look at some draft scenarios this weekend. We could be slumming it. The Cardinals, they jumped up to the 5th pick, and then they've now fallen to the 6th pick, Bo, as it relates to the Tennessee Titans' strength of schedule. So here it is. Behold the slop as the Cardinals take on the Bengals. We know about that one. We got the Browns, Titans, Jets, Giants, and Raiders hoarding the top 5 spots. Emphasis on hoarding for the likes of the Giants at the Raiders this weekend. The Raiders have sent Max Crosby home. They've basically, they say they're not going to play him, even though he says he's healthy enough to play. Andrew Thomas is now sitting out for the Giants. That's the battle of the potential number 1 pick. And then you've got the Jets openly starting something called Brady Cook instead of Tyrod Taylor. The Patriots are missing a lot of players. It's not going to matter. The Titans and the Saints, sneaking competitive. Both teams have actually been playing hard lately, so that is a game to watch. And then the Brownies against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Shedeur Sanders. Even though, Steelers don't have DK Metcalf, I expect that to be a rollover. Although those are the kind of games Mike Tomlin loses at the end of the year. So right. Where are Cardinal fans supposed to, adore their attention this weekend, Bo?
Yeah, I would imagine just the Cardinals' opponent, the Cowboys, winning up their win percentage to where it is. It's 578. Their strength of schedule, percentage.
Yeah.
So that's what dropped them below the Titans. The Titans were at 572 now. Oh man. Yeah, it's a slow burn, but you just got to stay steadfast with your taking L's. It's just going to come down to the Cardinals. Like I think you just have to firmly believe that the Cardinals just keep losing games. They're going to be in that top 5. And that's really what you need for a ticket to this dance in order to be able to trade up.
Yeah.
The worst of all realities is Cleveland, Jets, or Vegas. Any combination of those 3 teams being 1-2.
Yes.
Because you need a trade partner. And like people can come at me and it's justified. The Jets and the Browns have more appealing draft capital.
Way more.
If they needed to get up, there's reports that the Jets aren't interested in doing a rookie quarterback this time around. But I'll believe it when I see it. I think the Cardinals, it's just important for them to get as high as they can, and then also for a team like the Giants or the Titans, if they're not already ahead of them, to be in that 1 or 2 spot.
We need the Raiders to beat the Giants this weekend. That means more than any kind of combination of any other games. We need the Giants to lose out and get the first overall pick and trade that pick to somebody.
Is Jackson Dart? He's playing, right?
He is, yes.
Yeah.
But Geno's playing. Ashton Genty looked good last week. Bowers is out, though. He's on IR. That's a huge loss. That game is in Las Vegas.
They just sent a bunch of people home. Yeah.
Yeah. That game is in Vegas. I think the Raiders play the last 2 in Vegas, and then they get the Chiefs, who the Chiefs felt like they went all out last night, and then they've called it a season. I know it's asking a lot, but can the Raiders somehow win these last 2 games? Raider fans would be furious. But Pete Carroll's trying to win. Pete Carroll's trying to tank. The Giants are really bad. The Giants winning a road game in Vegas would be very surprising given the players that they have. I think Genty win that game on his own. And then I think the Saints have been playing really good football, but the Titans at home, like Cam Ward, they're trying to win. Like that's a very winnable game for the Titans. I'd be interested to see the line on that.
Take the under.
Yeah, for sure. And then Shador against Mike Tomlin, the Steelers at home. No Junkins. But again, the Steelers just had a huge win in Detroit last week. They're feeling themselves. They have a winning record. I don't know. Those are the kind of games where Tomlin blows the end of the day. Does he? He lost to the Cardinals at home a couple years ago. Late. The Jets are done, though. The Jets are losing out.
Yeah.
The Browns are likely losing out. So we need the Giants to finish this off. Titans.
What's the West doing? What's going on in the West? We need some losses for the division. We need some Cardinals opponents to lose.
Well, Bears play the 49ers.
Yeah.
We need the Bears to win that game. And then the Bears and the Seahawks play each other the last week of the regular season. And so by default, one of those teams gets an L. But we'll
that game Sunday Night Football, Bears, Niners.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need the Cardinals. Some of their opponents need to take some losses because the Cardinals couldn't get it done. Like that strength of schedule needs to go down. It's unbelievably high.
Well, I'm sure the Cardinals are like, see, look at us. Strength of schedule.
Injuries, tough schedule again.
You don't get to relocate your division, guys. The division is what it is. You're getting the wrong messaging from that. The messaging should be, we're ill-equipped to compete in this division.
Yeah.
What major changes do we need to do? Like when you hired Bruce Arians.
Seattle's playing Carolina. They're in Charlotte. They're probably still going to win that game, right?
Let's see.
It's tougher than we thought it was going to be.
We'll see. What are the Rams doing?
Well, also Texans, that was a team they played. They could take an L. Rams are playing the Falcons. Monday Night Football.
Helping their own draft. So the Rams are going to be like, we are tuning up. We're playing the Falcons and the Cardinals. We are going to try to score 100 combined points. Let's get into it. Game predictions here, an hour and 6 minutes into the show. I'll go first. Here's who I like in Cincinnati. Give me one. What do I got here? What do I got in this game prediction? First class podcasting here. Give me Michael Wilson, Darius Robinson, and Josh Fryer to stand out this week. Fryer, low-key, has been good. Jonathan Gannon comes back. Justin Fry will be his O-line coach. And Josh Fryer has been a sneaky under-the-radar quality performer. Can be the swing tackle next year, assuming you get a new right tackle. Darius, don't look at Johnny Newton's box score yesterday, Darius. Don't look at it. He had 3 sacks yesterday for the Commanders. Look away, Darius. Focus on you. Build upon a good game last week. Since these O-line's not great, let me see Darius get a sack. I need Darius to be trending up. Michael Wilson, we need to get him to 1,000 yards. This game means nothing from a win-loss perspective. Get players their stats. Let players have something to go into the offseason feeling good about. So those are the 3 I like.
I like that. I do. I think the D-Rob thing is very important. When you think about this defensive front 7 and where it needs to be, and we'll see. I think that they were able to – there were some reports coming out that Walter might be able to avoid surgery.
Where'd you hear that from?
I just saw it on the Twitter street. Somebody was reporting it from – it was either Theo Mackey or Josh or – Donnie or Tyler Drake, one of those guys that's more on the grind than your boy was over the holiday season. But that would be like Calais. It just feels like this is it. This is his final chat. Like he's going to say goodbye. And then Dalvin Tomlinson, would they bring him back, or has he become a cap casualty?
Yeah.
You need Darius. You need your front 7, like the future of that position group, to emerge. And if Darius can put together back-to-back solid performances, he had his best game, I think, of his career. And Gann said that much on Monday. Like he had it against the Falcons. Like he had a TFL on Bijan, and he was in on that 4th down stop to get them a chance at the end of the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. Like Michael Wilson, sitting here at 818 yards with 2 to play. So he needs under 200 yards to get to a K. Let's make it happen for Michael Wilson, because that's something that you can go, whether the Cardinals extend him this year or if he hits free agency, he's got that on his resume. He's going to go make some money. He would make more money than if he comes up just short of that.
It'd be
Let's
crazy.
get to my predictions here.
Yeah.
I like the Fryer thing as well. He's played very nicely since entering the
No more
lineup.
Paris this year. Keep Paris away. Stay away,
Yeah.
Paris.
Especially since he's not in the Pro Bowl. It's not up for it. It's already been decided. What do we got? You got mine, Johnny or Damon? Let's see mine. My key players of the game. Bengals suck against the run. Can Michael Carter have a big day on the ground? I think it's possible. He looked decent. I thought the Cardinals actually ran the ball the best that they had out all season against the Falcons. Can they maybe keep that going as we're sitting here pounding the table for passing yards and receiving yards? But I think Michael Carter could have a sneaky good game. Johnny, poor bastard starting him in fantasy football.
Championship.
Rapid Taylor Demerson. Give me maybe an interception. I don't know. Maybe if it's not an interception of Joe Burrow, that might be asking too much. Can he make some plays in coverage? No Budda Baker this week, everyone, as he was put back into the protocol. Somehow, Budda was able to swindle the team doctors on Sunday, got back onto the playing field, maybe snuck out, got a different helmet, but then was put right back into protocol, and it can't pass it, unfortunately. Hope the best for Budda, but Rabbit Taylor Demerson is going to continue to get some opportunities here. Maybe he can make some plays for the Cardinals. And then coming off a career-high 91 yards receiving, bad against the tight ends as well for the Cincinnati Bengals. Big game for Trey McBride, but you need anything you can get it for this Cardinals offense, as Johnny's pointed out, has not eclipsed 20 points on the road in a long time. Cardinals need to do it. And if Elijah Higgins can continue to, have another good performance, maybe fire in the end zone, I think he could be an X factor.
I like it. Higgins played well last week. Taylor Demerson, you can tell here's what I'll say. You can tell the difference with Taylor Demerson and even Cody Simon when they're in the lineup. When those guys were not in the lineup against Houston, it was brutal. And I'm sure Gannon's like, we need to be able to build on Cody Simon, Taylor Demerson, Denzel Burke, and all these rookies. Let us continue to work with them. But that's all well and good, but you got to win games, and they're not winning enough. Will they win this weekend? Let's get to our score predictions here. Bo and I both like the Cardinals to take an L. I think they're going to get blown out. I think Joe Burrow in the cold in his environment with Higgins, who's back, Jamar Chase Brown was elite last week, had like 5 touchdowns. I just think Cincinnati defensively is going to put so much pressure on the Cardinals. The Cardinals, maybe they'll surprise me. Them trying to operate, like what's the temperature? I think it's been like unseasonably warm, but right now the temperature in Cincinnati drops this weekend. It's supposed to snow on Thursday, and then it's 56 right now. But this weekend, it's supposed to drop under 30 degrees, which does not bode well. So, like, scummy weather, under 30 degrees. Cardinals don't want to hit anybody in the cold. This is Joe Burrow. They're out for blood. They put up almost a 50-burger on Miami last week. I'll be shocked if the Cardinals keep this a one-possession game.
Yeah. No, I would as well. Maybe that's the bat signal goes up and Jacoby Brissett's able to put up some points on a really bad defense in garbage time. And it makes my final score looks a lot better than yours. They lose 28-20, similar kind of to last week's 26-19 loss.
Yeah.
I think they're taking an L. It's not going to be a nail biter. And that's my prediction. I've got it right now as the final score, 28-20.
Yeah,
but I don't expect great things, and that sounds like a horse show. I mean, the weather sounds awful. It's like, what are you getting up for? And the Bengals are playing for something, and it might not be Zach Taylor, but they want to make a point for the end of the season comes, and the Cardinals are in their way of doing that.
Let's get into your super chat. You guys have been so kind, waiting. We've had a banner show here on a holiday Friday. Sean kicking us off has been a member for 1 month. Thank you, Sean. Rumor has it Bidwill is planning on making all the seating into casitas. Huge if true. Wow. Breaking news here.
Yeah. State Farm Stadium is actually just going to become one giant casita.
It's just like Cardinals just getting beat 56-0, but everybody's just hanging in like lounge chairs and casitas on their phones. That's what we want. Let's get that environment.
Sean, thank you for your loyal viewership and
Yes.
being a member. We love it, man. Thank you so much.
Libertarian Sasquatch, $4.99. My dad and I didn't renew our season tickets. We figured 2026 will be bad too, since it will be nearly impossible to draft a good QB this year. I'll disagree with the latter, but let's focus on the former here. I sent Bo on Christmas Eve a post from our friend Mr. AZ Sports on Twitter that I bring this up because it's got a little bit of traction, almost 120 retweets, almost 2,000 likes. And it's a post from a Reddit user, basically, the Cardinals reaching out, last chance to get your season tickets. And then they sent back a very kind of snarky response. And then it's not so much the Reddit post, but the responses to Mr. AZ's sports post, overwhelmingly like people that I've had my tickets since the opening of the stadium. I'm done. I've canceled. This is me. People that are signed up for 2-year deals that are trying to get out of it. Cardinals can put out all the press releases they want through Rap Sheet. That is the quickest way to say my hands are tied. We got to get people back engaged with the product. And I saw that, and I like Mr. AZ Sports a lot. The Cardinals have featured him. He's done things with the Cardinals. For him to put that out there, the Cardinals are going to see that. The Cardinals consume all of this. Even though they don't engage with people's tweet, they monitor this entire space. All NFL teams do. That's not nothing. And that has got to infuriate and scare them. And we already know that they're well aware of the amount of tickets that they've lost.
Well, it's been a perfect crap storm this season because it's not only just the record, but obviously there's a big amount of this fan base that doesn't like how the Kyler Murray situation has gone down, and they view the people in power at fault for that, and whether that's fair or not, they have to wear that burden, and that's going to go along with right hand in hand with their season tickets and. With the additions that they made at the stadium, and it's not viewed as, season ticket holder friendly, and it's, pushed some people from, their old seats to new seats, and the prices go up as it always do across the league. It's not just a Cardinals thing, but it's just the optics of any of that. It's a tough sell, and to look at Mr. AZ Sports post here. And the fallout under it, it's just it's very telling to see where a lot of the fan base is, what their mindset is. It's really just unfortunate with where things were going into this season, where we're talking about Cardinals fans, keep your season tickets, don't let opposing fans do that. Now it's just how are you going to play in front of full crowds next year, regardless of who the fans are cheering for? It's just it's gotten so messy, and it's unfortunate. I saw Bob in the chat. Wasn't a super chat, but was saying basically the same stuff. Been a season ticket holder for so long, and this was the straw that broke the camel's back. It's really unfortunate.
Got to think there will be. This isn't like me trying to be snarky or rude. You have to assume if they keep Jonathan Gannon as head coach, and the messaging that sends this fan base, that you will see an exodus this offseason. I'm sure that's why they're trying to lock people in now. But man, that is going to be an impossible ask.
Yeah, it's Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible. It's not. I mean, I don't know who's how are you gonna get new season ticket holders? I sent you their home schedule, and it's basically set, right? I mean, they've got 5 playoff teams already on that schedule. You 3 in your division. I think they got the Eagles. And then there was one more.
They're going to have to, if they keep Jonathan Gannon, and I will make this the theme of the offseason, they're going to have to trade up for the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
That's what they would have to do. There's nothing number 1 or number 2 pick, get more of Mendoza, and just put Jonathan Gannon in a corner and don't show him, right? And then just go all in with Fernando Mendoza and Dante Moore. Excuse my dog.
Yeah, they're fired up. No, but what you're saying, normally you just said, hey, you're going to steal the Declaration of Independence, but you're sitting at 6 right now. It's not that far up. You just got to be the most aggressive. And that's where I I tell people who are already punting on 26, as far as not saying, hey, they're going to be back in the mix, they're going to be a playoff contender. I'm not saying that, but like you get the number 1 overall pick, and that'll bring some people, they'll bring eyes back regardless of what the results are next season. How about our guy Brian P., who I whooped up in the semifinals of the of PHNX Listener League. I'm in the championship. No big deal. It's easy for me. I'm kind of like the Goodwill Hunting of fantasy football leagues. Brian P., we're too injured last year on our front 7 to win down the stretch. When his injury is not going to be an excuse, our offseason condition program sucks.
Injuries are not going to be an excuse if they fire Jonathan Gannon. I think if you look at, if Jonathan Gannon does not come back, then that's them saying that we hear you, we agree that even though we've had a lot of injuries, we did not get enough out of this roster. I don't know how anybody can look at a scenario in which you had all your players against the Titans and Mac Jones and Daniel Jones and Jordan Love at home when they lose. Packers are not an unbeatable team. They lost to Carolina. Right. When are you going to, the injuries piss people off so much because you're trying to use something where we feel bad for the players. Like, we get it. My heart breaks for Walter Nolan and Garrett Williams. Mm-hmm. You're weaponizing it and using it as an excuse, and people resent that. And then people see teams in their own division succeed.
Goes to Pat Tilley. Very generous. $20 as always. Thank you, goes to Pat Tilley. Hopefully you had a great holiday season. Stadium was sparse for the Falcons game. On local TV, where tickets are all tickets sold, does Bidwill waive blackout? I think owners can. Blackouts used to be a huge issue for this fan base.
Yeah.
Showing up on local TV. I think there was some sort of resolution to where it's not a conflict any longer.
No, I don't think so. Thank you so much for that $20 super chat. So generous. We appreciate you, goes to Pat Tilley. Also generous, we've got Ranger gifting 10 PHNX Sports memberships. Unbelievable, Ranger. We appreciate you. So again,
and Ranger do 30 the other day?
Yeah, unbelievable. He's individually fueling the memberships. We lead ALLCITY with new memberships. If you would be so kind, click that join button. It's just $5 a month. We're going to have so much member exclusive content over the course of this off season. Ranger getting people a heads up and a preview of what the members only benefits will get you. And again, we get asked a lot, very humbly, like, how can we support you and Bo, what you guys are doing? We don't have a Patreon. It's members. Click a member, join, and we appreciate everybody, including Mondo Maker. Member for 3 months. Next up here, 2-parter.
Okay.
I don't trust Monty to pick our next quarterback or build this team around him. If JG goes, Monti Ossenfort should too. Also, do you guys get anything cool for Christmas? Let's start with the first part here. I agree with you. I would have no issue firing Monti Ossenfort.
Yeah.
I think Monti Ossenfort has done a decent job in player acquisition, but I also think that a GM always gets twice as long, especially when you have as much draft capital as they've invested, because you're going to want to say, hey, another coach is going to get Darius and Marv and all these guys to the next level. Monty in free agency, for the most part, has been atrocious. And the Cardinals snubbed their nose at free agency, and that has been a disaster. I have no issue firing Monti Ossenfort, but I'm going to tell you why they won't, because they want to be able to have an expedite on their next head coach. They want to start those interviews right away.
Yeah.
And they also want to land this plane that is the Kyler Murray saga. So Monty is, in my opinion, 100% safe. But Bo, you may have a difference of opinion.
No, I believe he's safe as well. I don't think that's something that it's not an undertaking that Bidwill wants to take on. Even though, like, there's recently you saw Jacksonville, they blew everybody out, and they got a new GM and they got a new head coach, and they're in the playoffs, right? They just beat Denver last weekend. I'm not saying that's what would happen, but it's not something that is. It's not something that you can't do in this league. But I think Monty hasn't underperformed so bad that he needs to be given his walking papers. What else we got on here?
Did you get anything cool for Christmas, Bo?
I did. I did. I think the listeners, my co-hosts, my colleagues will all be happy to hear that I replaced my flip-flops that were put on exposed, I should say, by Johnny for having a hole in them. I got a new set of rainbow flip-flops.
Wow. We'll say a prayer for those old ones. I hope they end up in the landfill somewhere, and we never.
They're going to put them up maybe in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah. To auction them off in the Discord for diehards. I got a Costco Cardinals like throwback 90s jacket.
Ooh,
I
like starter?
The Costco did like a series of like where you're living, like team specific jackets, and it looks like
you posted the photo of it. Yeah, you look down pretty big in that picture.
I was down tremendously in that photo. You can see it on my Twitter. I just spent unsuccessfully putting together a bike. That's so much so that they had to.
That's what's written on your face. Was this was a dad that was up until the wee hours in the morning.
They had to take the bike to a bike shop today to like get it refined. Bike like
so it's not a safety. It's not the Cardinals gym. It's not like a hazard.
we ship TVs now. They're in huge boxes. We can't ship a completed bike. Come on, it was tough. And then putting together a 3-hour vanity yesterday for my daughter. But yeah, you can see the photo. My dad and my son all repping this jacket, which is great. I mean, I knew it was coming because I told my wife, like, if you're going to buy that for everybody, like I need one. So maybe I'll wear that to Gila this weekend, which would be fantastic. Desert Vulture, $5.
Does it have a hood on it?
I don't know.
Can you hide? Can you hide from?
Yes, it does have a hood on it. Good. Desert Vulture, $5. Unfortunately, for most teams, these are unfortunate times, but for Cards fans, it's becoming sadly the norm. Please get a seasoned NFL coach. Well, here's what I'll say. For the longest time, I was very much of the mindset, and people are going to call me a shill and a fanboy. Like,
yeah,
with Michael Bidwill, especially before like a lot of the allegations came out, like they never had like bottoming out seasons like this. They had seasons where they were rough, right? Like, but they had every couple of years you get a 500 season, you get a playoff season, and he was much more on balance than his late father was. Like these were the norms with his late father Bill. They had so many years of just ineptitude, but now it really does feel like post Bruce Arians that it's gone completely off the rails. And that's why this year is so disappointing, because I love the Ossenfort and Gannon hires, Bo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is becoming too much of a vicious circle or cycle for the Cardinals, where it's just like usually it's about 3 years and then, reset and then start over. The process goes again. It have like kind of the anomaly, like the 1 year under Wilkes. And
yeah,
that was one of the few at the time. That was the first number 1 overall pick that they had earned, right? That they had bottomed out. Like they had been bad, obviously consistently, but they never like truly. They had 3-13 seasons, but for the most part, they were like 4-12, and like perpetually like on like the knocking on the door of the top pick. But somehow they were able to still get the job done. But yeah, it's unbelievable that we're here and we're talking about it when we thought, hey, this was going to be the start of something, consistent. And the only thing they've still continued with the consistency is losing. Keeping it going, Desert Vulture, how does JG explain how the 49ers can still win despite serious injuries on both sides of the football?
I mean, to be fair, and I made this point the other day, Gannon's not making excuses. We don't like what Gannon says in press conferences. We don't like that he retained Drew Petzing. Gannon's not feeling sorry for himself. And I think the Cardinals are not helping him and his image potentially going into an offseason in which they're going to retain him by making excuses and using Ian Rappaport as an excuse PR maker mouthpiece. I think that's an embarrassment, because you're right, Desert Vulture. The 49ers can say, we have elite coaching that is the magic elixir. We can start Joe Blow and we can win games. And the Cardinals, by admitting that they have injuries, are showing you that they don't have that. The Cardinals are showing their cards. They're saying, well, injuries are torpedoing this season in a division in which the Niners could get the 1 seed. I've made this argument so many times, and I think it reigns true this year. I would rather play elite quarterbacks in this division than the elite head coaches that remain, because these coaches can coach for 20 years and they don't get injured, right? Like Joe Burrow's an elite player. He misses so much time. Lamar Jackson's injured. Like, give me elite quarterbacks I would rather face those than Shanahan, McVay, and now McDonald. I mean, it's just the Cardinals just can't compete with these guys. You can't even push back. They can't compete. The Cardinals can't.
Yeah, I mean, Saleh and Shanahan together, man, their track record is undeniable.
Deadly.
It sucks. Get Saleh out of this division, please. I mean, we thought with the Warner and the Bosa injuries, like those were going to be what was going to sink them, and they still were able to play defense. Brock Purdy was already out. They had Mac Jones winning football games. Kittle missed time. As you mentioned with the wide receivers, it was a who's who. And they were still able to win and win a lot, keeping it going. We know their schedule stunk too, but still.
How the Cardinals expect to lose, like the Niners expect to win, and it's a mindset. Cardinals have the opposite mindset.
Lamar Washington. I hope you had a great holidays, Lamar. Thank you for $10 super chat. I want to apologize to Johnny V for my remarks on Monday. I understand your passion for the team, but I think your passion is blinding you from the obvious. What?
I don't even remember what it was.
Yeah.
I think I've been pretty critical of the team. Was I pro something? Pro Gannon? Maybe it was because we said we think Gannon is a good coach. I mean, that's been the biggest kind of point of contention. Like, I come from a mindset where a guy just doesn't forget how to be a good coach, but a guy may not be a good head coach. Steve Spagnuolo is an elite coach. He's an elite defensive mind. He was not a good head coach. Cliff Kingsbury is, I think, a good coach, a good OC. He's not a good head coach. It's not the end of the world if that's what happens to Jonathan Gannon. It's not me. Like, I think I can sit here with Bo and say they need to move on, because of course they do. 1-14. But I'm also not going to kill the guy, and this is not because we have a personal relationship with him, and say he's a bum, get him out of the NFL. Like, we've seen it too much in Arizona. Vance Joseph having immense success. Cliff Kingsbury, like ex-Cardinal coaches all over the NFL doing well. Like, Jonathan Gannon, if he got fired, would get another DC job. I don't know if he'd ever get it. This is going to be so damning on his resume. I don't know if he'll ever get a head coaching job again.
Yeah.
But I think this is not me judging anybody, but I would like to think we can get to a place where we could say, I want this guy replaced. They're not doing a good enough job, but he's not a bad coach. That's just my take on it, though.
Yeah. Lamar, I say awful things to Johnny all the time and never apologize. So we appreciate it, though. Alex, he's jumping in. Cardinals are like the uncle who would have went pro if he didn't spring his pinky. There's always those people. You hear them, especially at a higher volume this year because of all the holiday parties, and you get to hear other people's stories that you don't necessarily know. I would have been a D1 prospect if I didn't blow my knee out in Pop Warner.
The Cardinals don't need to listen to me, but I think it's in their best interest to lay low these next 2 weeks. I wouldn't put anything out. I would stop just lay low, do holiday stuff, do fun stuff. They're going to milk the hell out of Larry Fitzgerald's Hall of Fame ceremony next year.
One last time.
Yeah.
Larry to the rescue.
Yep. Iron Will, $5.
Just post Trey McBride. Like, we didn't even talk about it. The Pro Bowl thing. Like, just post Trey McBride, because other posts about other Pro Bowlers are just going to get crap.
This has not been Buddha Breaker's best season, but league respects him, and
absolutely
players respect him.
It's more based on, what he's done in his career and the respect that he's garnered throughout the league. Still up there as far as one of the top tacklers at safety. But I think everybody knows that he's played better than this. And anytime I see anything online about Buddha making the Pro Bowl, it's met with, well, he didn't deserve it. So given that, just maybe ease off on the Buddha posts.
Iron Will, $5. Raiders lose out, and we buy their spot with K1 and pick Mendoza and love first round to have our second chance at Carson Palmer, David Johnson from years ago. Well, here's the issues with this.
Yeah.
If you trade up to the first overall pick, you don't have a second round pick this year. I think that goes goodbye. I think if you're moving up from 5 or 6 to 1, you're talking about 3 1s maybe and 2 2s, which is a lot. It's a lot. I also think the Raiders, they could be a destination for Kyler off to the side, but I just doesn't feel like with Geno, they tried the veteran route. It didn't work. They'll go get Mendoza or more. They're going to try to just like with Bo Nix, get to a point where draft and develop, blah, blah, blah. The Giants are our only hope. The Giants getting the first overall pick. And because Jackson Dart, as bad as it's gotten at the end of the year, like here's what I would say. If the Giants are trading the first overall pick or they're trading Jackson Dart, the Cardinals need to be in on both those options.
Agreed.
And for that to happen, you'd have to have the first overall pick.
Go get Breece Hall in free agency.
I would love it. Yeah, do that.
Brian,
you can flip this in a minute.
Brian P. Game worn Jerusalem Cruisers from Bo. Sign me up. All right. Yeah, I'll put them out there. You guys can have my game worn flip flops. Now that I've got some new ones.
Lamar, $5. Oh, this is the conversation about last week when I said, or earlier when I said I think they're trying to win. You and Lamar think they may be trying to lose on purpose. I mean, they brought in a kicker to compete with Chad Ryland this week, though. Clearly, they're not happy with Chad Ryland's performance. I think I know Jonathan Gannon well enough where this record is weighing on him, and this season is weighing on him. These guys live and die trying to get a win, and I would hate for Lamar, the Cody Simons of the world, and these young players that are out there competing for the messaging to be anything other than let's try to win. I get it for us. Like, we understand that losing is to their benefit, but for players and trying to put good tape out there and trying to build a winning culture, that's a really tough sign. But I'm not going to dispute, like, the Raiders are trying to lose. The Giants are trying to lose. The Browns and the Jets are trying to lose. So maybe I am too naive, but I saw Jonathan Gannon's Cardinals lose when they were trying to win earlier this season, and this looks very similar to me. So,
one last thing. Did you see the Baltimore Sun report on Lamar Jackson?
I sure did. You make that phone call. Make that phone call yesterday. It sounds like they're going to pick Lamar over John Harbaugh, though, if they were smart. And here's what I'll tell you about that. I've heard, because we have a very small relationship with Jim, family, friends, etc.
Okay.
Jim is out here on the West Coast. Jim's parents travel a lot because of both games. Jim's son is the special teams coordinator for the Seahawks. John Harbaugh, would he be more inclined to take a West Coast job? So all the Harbaughs could be on the West Coast. I'm not saying it's nothing, but it's not everything. And, Vegas is going to be open, I would imagine. But like, if John Harbaugh is fired, you 100% go all in to try to make him your head coach. That's my opinion.
Interesting stuff. Some people would say they don't like the Harbaughs. They're not good enough for this team.
Some prominent local radio station with a former color man would go on a rant saying how bad that would be. I might retweet that. If Jim Harbaugh makes the AFC Championship game, I might need to retweet that.
Well, great stuff. Good to see everybody here post-Christmas. I hope everybody had a great holiday season. We are going to be back live, Gila River Resorts and Casinos on Sunday morning, 11 a.m. kick. We're going to be live with the pregame, 10:30. Britton Golden makes his return here to PHNX Cardinals after a week off, and then live watch-along. Watch-alongs are back for the rest of the season. We'll have watch-along, halftime, post-game coverage on PHNX Cardinals. Thanks for making this Friday a special one. Thank you for all your super chats. Ranger, another 10 supporter gifts. Hopefully all those who got those gave Ranger a big thank you. We thank him or her. Thank you so much. And of course, the return of Damon Dog. Damon was producing today. Is no return on Sunday. Great stuff. Great graphics as always. Make sure to check out all his great U of A content and D-backs content here subscribe to PHNX Sports as we continue to make our march towards 50K. If you haven't subscribed, do it right now. For Damon Dog, for Johnny Venerable, I'm Bo Brock. We'll talk to you Sunday morning right here on PHNX Cardinals.
We all silly like the mayor.